Hi guys, so it's my final day in Istanbul today and I wanted to give you a rundown of what's gone on whilst I've been here in Turkey. I'm about to catch my flight in a few hours time, so I need to check out of my room, but I've kept a diary and pictures and videos of everything that's gone on my trip. So I've got some things here to share with you to give you a bit of an insight into what goes on. So first of all, I have the paperwork. This is given to me at every appointment that I have, every checkup, and every involvement with medical staff. So there are English speaking staff as well as Turkish, and at times when you need a translator, they bring in members of the team who are able to do that. They write everything out in full, everything that's spoken about, and you also then sign that with your translator to say that it's understood. They walk you through medication that's needed, when your checkups will be, information and advice that is given to you about medical conditions. So on this one, it was talking about drains, when to empty them, how to do that, the medication, when to take it on a full stomach, empty stomach, times of day, quantities, and what to do when I return home. And this one is to say that I had my stitches removed, medical dressings were performed, and drains were removed. I must wear my corset for a month now. And this board has thankfully come off. This is to keep the stomach straight to avoid creasing, especially as you're recovering. But I did have to wear this for I think about 3 days it was in total, until it was removed when I had my stitches and dressings taken off yesterday. I also have a neck bandage that I can wear to lift the neck up. But as I'm quite claustrophobic, I don't know how other people deal with surgeries, but having things on my face and pulled tightly, I find it quite suffocating. Even though it's completely comfortable, it's just a claustrophobia thing for me. So my surgeon actually suggested that I could do a facial massage, which he showed me yesterday, just to help the healing process. I also have these bandages which will come off tomorrow, and then I'm able to clear some of the purple pen from the surgery. My stitches were removed in my eyelids and also in my stomach, and I'll give you a rundown of the days and how my week in Turkey has looked so far. So as you know, I landed in Turkey on day 1. On day 2 we had the tour, and on day 3 was my surgery. So I was picked up at 9 AM for my surgery and driven to the hospital, which is around 20 minutes away from the hotel. I'd fasted the night before, which meant that I couldn't have any food or water past midnight, and that's just to make sure that your stomach is empty, ready for anaesthetic. So I went in for surgery at 1 PM, but the actual prep took an hour, so it didn't begin until 2. The surgery itself was 4.5 hours in duration, and that was for my eyelids, my chin, and the high definition 6-pack. When I came round from surgery, it was 7 PM, and I was returned to my hospital room. It's quite common to be cold after surgery, and I was shaking. So it was the feeling of sleeping outside in a tent, you know, that feeling where you're like, oh, it's really cold. So they put blankets on you, and it can be quite distressing for somebody to see if they're not used to it. For me as a patient, it's quite hard to remember what goes on after surgery because the anaesthetic can cause that kind of blurry, hazy sleepiness. So I remember being cold, but not to the extent of the coldness. Blankets were put on me and I shivered. There was visible signs of shaking, but it's nothing to be concerned about. It is very normal that operating theatres have to be kept cold for a reason of keeping bacteria under control and preventing infections. So after that, I was actually sick, which is the first time I've been sick from surgery. You are given anti-sickness drugs, and there are bowls there to catch the sick. Because it was unexpected, unfortunately I was sick on myself, but having my partner in the room with me meant that he was able to help me immediately. But had I been on my own, there is a bell that you can press and nurses come to attend to you. My partner was actually able to stay in the room with me overnight, which was really lovely, as I've not had that before. So it just meant that whenever I needed somebody, somebody was there. But had I been on my own like I have in the past, nurses come and check on you, they come and take blood, they change your drip, they sit you up, they try to get you to stand and walk, and they go through all their checks that they have to do throughout the duration of a day that you spend in hospital. After 4 hours, I was allowed to drink, so that meant I could have tiny sips of water. I had this very dry throat from the tube that's used during anaesthetic, and I really wanted to drink, and I was feeling quite queasy because I'd fasted for so long. It's best to wait as long as possible and follow all the instructions to make sure that you minimise the risks of feeling unwell after having the anaesthetic. 7 hours after surgery, you're allowed to eat, and this for me started off with a fruity juice with grapes in it, and it was so lovely just to taste food, to feel the sweetness of the water. It gave me that energy boost and kind of brought me more to my senses. So being vegan, I always worry that when you travel abroad, if you ask for a vegan menu, you'll get served fish and eggs and cheese and butter, which is very common. Not all countries understand veganism or having a gluten-free diet. So I'd packed some protein bars in my luggage, in my bag to the hospital, which is really helpful after having surgery, that you have a protein intake, because that's really going to aid in your recovery. You also know that it's something that you can eat and that you do like. So making sure that you take very small bites to break it up and to chew it gently, and to go very slow and steady, not to overload the stomach. That gave me energy. When the nurses came in, I had a catheter, so I didn't have to go to the bathroom by myself. And I also had 4 drains, which are tubes that run into bottles, and they collect the blood to reduce the swelling and the fluid from the surgery, because you do puff up quite quickly. The surgeon advises that as soon as you are able to, when you have the energy and you feel comfortable, to stand up and try to walk around. The circulation moving really makes a difference and assists in your recovery. So when the nurses came to lift me up out of the bed, to sit me upright, to turn my legs, it was a sensation that I wasn't quite accustomed to after just coming round. I'd had a very tiny amount of food and wasn't feeling ready to walk. I did try, and they lifted me and supported me. I felt hot and dizzy and laid back down again and reattempted it with my partner when we were by ourselves. And actually then I felt so much better just taking it very slowly at my own pace, and we were able to walk around the room. This then progressed to walking to the end of the corridor, and to do that a couple of times really made a difference. I felt much stronger. The first day in hospital is just a lot of sleeping, so it probably is quite boring if you have a partner there with you. Definitely take some magazines and movies to make the time pass. I remember just saying, I'll just have a quick nap, and then I'd open my eyes and it was dark, and an hour or so had passed at a time. You are really quite sleepy after anaesthetic. You just want to rest, to close your eyes, to have a nibble of food, a sip of water, and go back to sleep. So the first day, really, there's not much going on. You're checked quite frequently by the nurses in your hospital room. And as I say, I didn't have to get out of bed other than to try to walk because I had the catheter. We were actually out of the hospital by 1 p.m. the following day.